in 1997. He has about 24 years of experience in carrying out hydrological surveys in Maharashtra. He has also been actively associated with World Bank and European Union projects on aquifer management and Tapi River basin management. He has attended a 3 weeks international water management training with Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, as we all know. They have been involved in a lot of projects in India. He has been working for regulation of groundwater in Maharashtra state and Union Territory of DNA, that is Dadra Nagar Haveli, and he has delivered many presentations in various forums. I request Rahul to give his talk on regulation of groundwater use in urban areas.
Thank you very much. I am Rahul Shende. This is also we are taking as a part of 75 years of India's independence, through for which we have to organize some public interaction programs on groundwater. So this is also a part of that program, and we are jointly organizing it with EVA. I am thankful to them for giving me the opportunity to share the groundwater regulation which has been brought recently for all over India, and we will discuss it for Maharashtra also. Regulation is a word which is not taken in a right earnest. We always fear of regulation, rules and regulation. We always are always fear of the word regulation and rules. But in case of groundwater, till the advent of this century, there was no regulation for groundwater. Since year 2000, since this century, the groundwater regulation has been taking place, and it has evolved in the last 2 decades or so. Why we have to regulate the groundwater? Because there was a need to regulate the groundwater, since our groundwater resources are being overexploited, and there is scarcity of groundwater in many areas, and people were exploiting groundwater resources in an unplanned manner. So so this groundwater regulation has to be brought in, and and recently the government of India has notified new guidelines for groundwater regulation in September 2020. So we will speak on that. So the salient features of these guidelines are having pan-India applicability. All previous guidelines were state-specific or not having applicability all over India. So these are pan-India applicability. And in case state government is having their own guidelines and they are little inconsistent, then CGWA guidelines will be prevailing. And if the state guidelines are having more stringent provisions, in that case, the state guidelines will prevail. So whichever guidelines are having stringent provisions, that will prevail. And then important thing which was also done in these guidelines was preparation of water management plans for each block of India, and those water management plans are shared on our website also, wherein the groundwater and surface water availability in each taluka, what is the scenario, what is the availability, how much is the use, and what is the available for future use, and what is the hydrogeology of that particular area, how many groundwater abstraction structures, dug wells, bore wells are there. These all things are there in the water management plans, and these are also available on our website for many of the talukas of Maharashtra and all over India. Then registration of drilling rig has to be done. The drilling agencies engaged in drilling of bore wells are to be registered by state government. In this guidelines also gives permissions for groundwater use for construction activities. Earlier it was not permitted. Then the industries or projects which are drawing groundwater of more than 100 cubic meter per day, that is more than 1 lakh liters per day, they have to do water audits, and also impact assessment report has to be impact assessment studies has to be carried out by those projects where groundwater use is more than 1 lakh liter per day, but only in overexploited critical and subcritical areas. And for regulation, district collectors are also authorized to take action against airing projects or illegal groundwater withdrawal. And important thing connected to this is rainwater harvesting is also to be done by the project. So these were some of the salient features of the guidelines. These are also available on the website and the net, and more details are there also. But in nutshell, these are the guidelines. Now, who has to take the NOC or who has to apply for the groundwater NOC? Means all the guideline indicates that all the existing or new projects who are using groundwater have to get NOC, and these projects are can be industrial projects, infrastructure projects, mining projects. And new category which has been added in these guidelines are drinking and domestic use for residential apartments or housing societies, as well as government water supply schemes in urban areas. So whatever residential apartments or housing societies or are there in the urban areas, they also have to take the groundwater NOC of CGWA. And another new category which has been added is bulk water suppliers. That means tanker water suppliers have also to take the NOC. Now these all these industries, infrastructure, mining and urban areas, drinking and domestic use, and tanker water suppliers have to take the NOC. Then who are exempted from the taking NOC are individual domestic users, means both in rural and urban areas. Those who are having their own house and small dug well or bore well and have limited groundwater use, those are exempted. Similarly, rural drinking water supply schemes are also exempted. Armed force establishments, wherever they are exempted. Of course, agriculture activities. And one more category which is exempted from taking the NOC is micro and small enterprises, which are using groundwater of less than 10,000 liters per day. So these categories are exempted from taking the NOC. They are not required to take the NOC. Now, the important aspect of this guidelines is also the groundwater abstraction or restoration charges. In all previously, the groundwater abstraction was not charged. No payment was to be done for extraction, and it was free. So now the government has put a price tag on this groundwater extraction, and with the price tag, when the price tag is there, then comes the ownership. That means we value that product or anything which is chargeable, we value that product, and the free product we don't value that much. So that was so the charges are very minimal and are on the subsidized basis, but the charges has been imposed to create a sense of belonging or ownership for using that groundwater. So for different categories, different charges are there, and these charges are also telescopic. That means depending on your demand, it will go on increasing. So that is like that. So for every category, there are different charges. Uh, if you are residing in urban areas and you are using residing in residential apartment, then up to 25,000 liter you are withdrawing the groundwater per month, then there is no charge. But more than 25,000 liter, if you are withdrawing per month, then there is a charge of 1 rupee per liter, 1 rupee per 1,000 liter. And if you are using more than 50,000 liters per month, then the charges increase to rupees 2 per 1,000 liters. So similarly, there are rates for packaged drinking water also. Then infrastructure projects and other industries, for them also the rates has been prescribed. Similarly, for mining projects, the rates are prescribed depending on the category of the area also. As you know, Maharashtra is having around 356 units or talukas. Out of that, mostly about 270 are falling in safe category, and remaining 80 odd talukas are under OCS category. That means overexploited, critical and semi-critical category. So depending on the project where it is located and depending on the quantity, the rates are applied. Similarly, the rates are there for private tanker water supplies. So these are groundwater abstraction charges or restoration charges. Depending on the groundwater you are withdrawing per day. Similarly, there are environmental compensation rates also. In case some industry or some project is illegally withdrawing groundwater, or they have not applied for NOC prior to this new guidelines, that is September 2020. If they have not applied before September 2020, or they are illegally withdrawing the groundwater, then those projects are also imposed with environmental compensation, and these rates are higher than the groundwater abstraction charges, because this is for illegal groundwater abstraction. So there are different rates for different categories and different types of projects. I will not go into the details of these rates. Similarly, when we issue the NOC, there are certain conditions to be complied in the NOC. And if the project proponent does not comply with those conditions, there are penalties for various non-compliances. So these are also there, like you have to fit the flow meter with telemetry on the bore well. Then you have to do the recharge structures. Then you have to construct a piezometer bore well for monitoring of water level. And some piezometer bore wells are to be installed with automatic water level recorders with telemetry, things like that. There are certain conditions for the NOC. And if some project does not comply with those conditions, there are penalties for that also. So the guidelines are quite comprehensive in these respects, and the projects which are applicable or which are desirous of getting the NOC can visit the website which is mentioned here, that is cgwa-noc.gov.in, and the entire process is online and without any human interface. So there is a minimal delay in obtaining the NOC, and these guidelines have also reduced the documentation part of getting the NOC. And this online process is in existence since 2015, and no offline NOC is being issued. So the process is completely online and transparent. Even the compliance process is online. And the applicant can track his application at which level it is there, whether NOC has been issued, at which office it is there. He can track the NOC, his application also. So as per these guidelines, there are 5 categories under which you can apply. Of course, drinking and domestic is in urban areas. For group housing societies, residential apartments, then industry, infrastructure, mining, and bulk supplier like tanker water suppliers. So in urban areas, these mining activities are mostly not there. Industries are limited, and most of the groundwater utilization is for drinking and domestic purpose, and the infrastructure projects which are existing in the urban areas, they also consume much of the groundwater. So what are the documents required for these different categories, we will see in the next slide. For drinking and domestic purpose, for residential apartments, the groundwater requirement has to be worked out as per the NBC 2016 norms. There are specific norms for water domestic use. Like in urban area, it is 135 liters per person. In rural areas, it is 60 liters per person. Like that, in offices, it is 45 liters per person. Such types of norms are available are there, and your water requirement has to be worked out on the basis of NBC norms. Then second document is water availability or non-availability certificate from local water supply body. This is required in case your groundwater withdrawal is more than 10,000 liter. If groundwater withdrawal is less than 10,000 liter, then only affidavit is required regarding water availability or non-availability. Then groundwater quality results of the borewell or dugwell which you are using. Then approval of the scheme for only government water supplies agencies. Residential housing and group housing societies do not require this document. Then wetland authority approval in case the project is located near to wetland zone. If it is not located, then affidavit is sufficient. Similarly, 10,000 rupees is the processing fee which you have to pay through Bharat Kosh, and these are the documents required for drinking and domestic. Similarly, for infrastructure projects, which include warehouses, offices, IT hubs, airports, malls, multiplex, this comes under infrastructure category. And here also more or less the document requirement is almost same. Water availability certificate, groundwater quality results, then water requirements as per NBC norms, and green belt water use should be as per CGWA norms. Then completion certificate is also required. The project completion certificate is if it is existing project. Then wherever the groundwater use is more than 20 KLD or 20,000 liter, their STP is mandatory as per the bylaws of MOUD, urban development, and dual supply is also necessary in new projects. So if the project is new, then STP installation certificate or affidavit is also required. Similarly, in infrastructure project, while going for excavation, there might be the chance of encountering the groundwater. So you have to dewater the basement or excavate while excavation. So in that case, if dewatering is involved, then impact assessment report is also required. And of course, wetland authority approval or affidavit. Similarly, the groundwater use for construction purpose is also allowed. Earlier, it was not there. So in this case, we require only non-availability letter from the local body, or treated sewage water non-availability letter from the local body. These two are required, and approval from wetland and processing fee is all is the same, that is 10,000 rupees. So once you apply for the NOC, this is the workflow for issuance of NOC is like you have to of course apply online
Sir,
with
please.
all the documents. Then once we receive the application, it is scrutinized and evaluated at regional office, and NOC is issued if the documents are proper, and by Nagpur office if groundwater requirement is less than 100 cubic meter or 1 lakh liter per day, and if it is more than 100 cubic meter, then the application is forwarded to Delhi headquarter Delhi office, and NOC is issued from there. So this is a sample NOC. And there are conditions given overleaf of the NOC which has to be complied. So this was about groundwater regulation and rainwater harvesting regulation.
3 minutes.
Also there, and it as the previous speaker has already told that in 2005 the Urban Development Department of Government of Maharashtra issued a GR for rainwater harvesting, and all the municipal corporations have made rainwater harvesting scheme mandatory for new constructions with plot area of more than 300 square meter. And many of the municipal corporations are also providing rebate on the property tax for rainwater harvesting. In case of CGWA, we are also providing 50% rebate on groundwater charges in renewal cases only, where the industry or project proponent has or residential housing society has implemented rainwater harvesting. There we are giving 50% rebate. So there is a considerable incentive on both the state government and central government to adopt rainwater harvesting. Now it is the will of the people and public participation which can take it forward from here on.
Rahul sir, we are
Yes, sir.
going out of time.
Yes, 5 minutes.
Just 2 minutes, sir. Still some lectures are pending. Please be fast, sir. Please,
Okay.
please.
So the benefits of groundwater and rainwater harvesting regulation are many. First thing is we are doing metering, thus we know how much groundwater is extracted. Then we have put a price tag on the water. Therefore, it reduces wastage. And then treated water is also mandatory. So it reduces stress on fresh water. Then rainwater harvesting increases sustainability, as we all know. Then as the groundwater abstraction charges are there, this is a revenue generation front for government. And once the charges are imposed for any use, the groundwater user also takes ownership of that groundwater. So that are the benefits. And just to share one example, if a urban housing society or residential complex of say 100 households is there in Mumbai, and it will require groundwater of 2 crore 46 lakhs 37,000, 2 crore 46 lakhs liters per year as per NBC norms, and the charges which are applicable will be about 50,000. So this is without rainwater harvesting and STP. But when we in the same scheme, if we apply or implement rainwater harvesting and STP, then from rainwater harvesting we can conserve about 28 lakh of 28 lakh liter of rainwater, and with STP we can reuse the water up to 82 lakh liters of water we can save, reuse the water from STP. So so there is considerable saving from the STP and rainwater harvesting. And if we do rainwater harvesting and STP, then we have to pay only 13,000 charges for groundwater per year. And this is in a nutshell. So without rainwater harvesting and STP, we are paying charges of about 50,000. But when we implement rainwater harvesting and STP, we are paying charges of only 13,565. Similarly, if we don't implement rainwater harvesting and STP, our water use will be about 24,637 cubic meter, whereas with rainwater harvesting it gets reduced to 13,000. So we are making a saving in water of 44%, whereas in groundwater extraction charges, that is the money we are saving about 72%. So there is lots of incentives and for going with rainwater harvesting and reusing the water from STP, that will save the water for our future generations. And I hope that I have made my point that we should use the groundwater with judiciously and conserve as much as possible through our rainwater harvesting measures to secure our future. Thank you very much.